Hey guys, today I'm going to introduce you to a dragon which I think you'll find very interesting. This is a new species of dragon, the hunter dragon from Series 6. As you may know from my other videos, I prefer real dragons, preferably in naturalistic surrounds. That means a 6-limbed creature, 4 legs, 2 wings, and in general I don't like wyverns, humanoids or other fanciful deviants. Now here's where I have mixed feelings with this dragon. See, this hunter dragon is 6-limbed with wings, yet it's so specialized it almost isn't a dragon. So let's start with the most obvious, the wings. Like other unusual McFarlane dragons, these wings have become specialized for the dragon's chosen lifestyle. In this case, hunting. All but the thumb fingers have become small supporting struts, spanned by almost non-existent wing membranes. Only what I'm guessing is the thumb have increased massively into what now look like spears. And in fact, it reminds me of the mantis shrimp that you can see here. There are even these supplementary pair of projections on each wing, very spiky, sharp and dangerous looking, and you can imagine these as secondary weapons or snares to inflict even more damage on struggling prey items. So you can imagine this dragon stalking like a lion or a big cat and then suddenly thrusting these 2 spikes forward. And speaking of lions, this seems to be very much an inspiration for the pose of this dragon. Not just that, but the head is blunter than the typical dragon, probably to evoke a cat-like connection. And in fact, interestingly, here's what looking at this dragon's head reminds me of. One thing that hasn't been lost is the great variety of scales you've seen on other McFarlane dragons. In fact, the detail is something that might surprise you unless you look really closely, because at first glance, this dragon actually looks rather plain. On the thighs, you'll see the typical crosshatch look that you've seen in probably most of the other McFarlane dragons. But if you go higher, you'll start to see a lot more relief in the overlapping scales. And these more rigid scales then cover the sides, okay, the back, the dorsal neck. So it has a very interesting texture if you look closely and if you were just to feel your dragon like I like to do. There are round pebble-like scales on the underside of the forearm, covering each wing finger, and even down to the underside of the mandible and the throat area. And this actually reminds me very much of the Stegosaurus throat armor, and it's also in the little bit in the pecs of the animal, the chest muscles, the serratus-like structure over here. So it's a nice change, and visually and texturally very interesting. There are also some rather unusual leaf-like scales along the lats here. Look at this, almost looks like a braid of hair supporting these spikes. You'll see them on the shoulder blades of the animal as well, here and here. On the underbelly, there's a beautiful interleaving structure of armor plating. You can really see the corrugations here. It's very, very nice in terms of texture as well as relief of individual plates. And there is what appears to me to be a triple pattern, formed first by these leaf scales I mentioned before, going down to the serratus, and then down here. So it's triple pattern, and this triple pattern is actually echoed down here too. You see these scales here, then another layer and a third layer. So it gives you a very, very nice look and texture to it. In fact, it reminds me of pictures I've seen of the Second Age elf armor in the Lord of the Rings movies. This could have been a very spiny creature, but in fact the spikes on the wing limbs here, you look at these studs here, the leg, the knuckles on both the hind limbs as well as the forelimbs, they are actually very reduced. And this makes sense to me because if you're going to be crawling, crouching and slithering, you don't want anything extraneous to get caught in your surrounds. But what about these large spikes running down the back? Here, seemingly contradictory spikes. It does seem very anomalous and not what you'd expect from a stalker, in which I think a low profile would be more advantageous. And I can only suggest a way to help the animal cleave through dense undergrowth, or perhaps even swimming. But I have to admit that's really reaching quite a bit. Now, there's not much articulation at all. Each limb does move, but because of the way this dragon has to be down low, they're actually pretty useless. The head does swivel from side to side, but really that's it. You know what I think would be cool? I think it would have been fantastic if they had the ability, if they had done they have done some nice articulation for these spears so that they could have been individually posed. But then I don't think that will work cost savings wise. So that's that. Now the color is very interesting. It's obviously suggestive of camouflage, but actually with two different schemes. On the upper half of the animal here, you'll see an orange base with what looks like black stripes, similar to what you might find on a tiger. The other, on the lower half of the animal on the legs, you'll see what looks like a wheat color base, and then a kind of burnt orange spotting on top of them. And these two schemes actually are very cleverly combined in the tail, because if you look here, you have the continuation of this scheme coming down the first half of the tail, and as for the rear half, they are following that scheme. So all in all, it's actually very nice. I like also the coloring on the spears here, giving it a very natural horny appearance. By the way, if you've ever wondered why the tiger stripes are camouflage at all when it looks so easy to spot, well, to our eyes maybe, but in grassland or the forest where shadows of overhanging branches cast stippling shadows on the animal, or I should say, sorry, on the undergrowth of the forest, the black stripe actually helps the tiger blend right in. The stripes also work to break up the tiger's shape and form. And if you look at these pictures, I think you'll get the idea. And likewise, this might be how these patterns work on our hunter dragon. Which brings me to the base. Now, you've heard me use the phrase nothing to write home about before. That is certainly true here. For a McFarlane dragon base, it's relatively featureless. Rocky, with some texture, but really nothing much. I wish they'd done one that could have, reflected the hunting nature of this dragon, leveraging off its camouflage to create an appropriate environment. Maybe the black rock plays against the black stripes of the dragon, like that. Maybe, look at it from the top. But generally, I'd say better opportunities were really lost here. So, in sum, we have an unusual dragon that seems to me to be a cross between a big cat, a mantis shrimp, and of course a dragon. Technically, it's a dragon still with wings. The pose is high tension enough to suggest impending explosive action, and if this was labeled some other creature, I would be more comfortable. Still, its virtues plus a very superb detail, excellent color scheme, makes this a strange mix that I do like. And if you aren't short of space and you like both dragons and big cats, I would recommend him. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Meanwhile, I'll be thinking about my last review for the year. And it's going to have to be a special dragon if I want it to be a Christmas special. So till then, have a happy and productive 2015, what's left of it. And I will see you soon.